Hey guys, we're continuing with these ACT math questions, the ones that I classify as conceptual or unusual. These problems have been selected because the students that I have trained in the past seem to struggle with these particular questions the most, and overall as a whole, as a group. And I'm hoping that perhaps you too are struggling with these particular questions on the December 2018 ACT released exam. With that in mind, if you know other people that are struggling, let them know where they can come get some good advice. Now, one other thing is, one of my purposes of making these videos, which is really important to me, is that we reach young adults who do not have a means of getting or obtaining help. It's very important to me that we help those people. And one of the easiest ways we can do that is for you and I to work as a team, and for you to like these videos and share them and subscribe to the channel. And if you know a young adult who needs help, please share the channel, and perhaps some of the questions that I'm reviewing will help them. It's really important, so I would really appreciate your help. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the questions. There's about 9 of them that we want to go through. All right, the first question. Okay. This question, as soon as I look at it, I see a fraction with it's algebraically expressed. So the first thing I think of before I read the question is, what makes the denominator equal to 0? Because the ACT loves the idea of making fractional equations undefined. So what's the question saying? What are all and only the values of x that are not in the domain? So what values of x are not in the domain of this function? Well, what we need to do is look at the denominator of the fraction. So we know we have x plus 6. We know we have x plus 6, that factor, and the other factor is x minus 8. Now, what number can we substitute into x plus 6 to make a 0? So -6. So -6 plus 6. That makes that factor equal to 0. So therefore, multiplying the two factors together would make the domain equal to 0. I mean, the denominator equal to 0. And when you do that, that's undefined. So our first number is -6. Our next number, what value of x can we substitute? What number can we substitute into x to make x minus 8 0? So 8. So 8 minus 8 is 0. So therefore, this particular number is 8. So we have two numbers, -6 and 8. And with that being said, that's answer choice G. Okay. Jawan has 150 centimeters of wire. For a craft project, he uses all the wire to make one circle. So we know he's going to make a circle. And it has a radius of 5 centimeters. So he uses all the wire to make one circle with a radius of 5 centimeters and one square. So he's got one square. He's going to make a circle and a square. To the nearest 1/10 of a centimeter, what is the side length of the square? So we're looking for the side length of the square. So we know you have 150 centimeters of wire total. how much wire is going to be used for the circle? Well, that's just the circumference of the circle. So circumference is 2 pi r. And that's going to be 2 pi r times 5, which is 10 pi. Now, 10 pi comes out to be like 31.41. Now, take that and subtract from 150. So 150 minus 31.41. That's going to give us 118.59 centimeters left. So we have 118.59 centimeters left to be distributed for our square. So if you take the 118, let me write it right here, 118.59, and you split that among 4 sides. You divide this by 4 because there's 4 sides to the square. That'll give us an equal amount all the way around the square, which comes out to like 29.64. Okay, so that rounds to 29.6 in our answer choices, and that would be answer choice G. All right. Now, let's move on. Okay, so we got an abstract question here, and it's not that bad. We just got to be careful with it. So given constants C, D, M, and N, such that x squared, so we're going to have, let's see, I'll put it right here, x squared plus mx plus c has factors of x plus 2 and x plus 4. Okay. And then, and the other one is x squared plus nx plus d. And it has factors of x plus 3 and x plus 7. Now, it wants to know what m times n is. So m times n is equal to what? Well, here's our m, and here's our n. So what number does m and n represent? Well, to figure that out, we just got to multiply the factors together. So the first one, we're going to get x squared, and then x times 4 is 4x, and 2 times x is 2x. That's going to give you a 6x. And then 2 times 4 is going to give you an 8. So m here is a 6. So we know m's a 6. Now we need to figure out n. So this one's going to be x times x is x squared. And then x times 7 is 7x. 3 times x is 3x. That's going to give us a 10x. And then 3 times 7 is going to give us a 21. Now, 10 is our value for n. So multiply 10 times 6. That's going to give you 60. So therefore, that's going to give us answer choice D, as in dog. All right, let's move on. Now, this one I've selected because it's really about the mechanics of mathematics, where a lot of people get confused. So let's take a look at it. For all positive values of a and b, which of the following expressions is equal to 2a over b plus b over 2a? So which one of our answer choices is equivalent to what they have in the question? So what we have is 2a over b plus b over 2a. Well, to add these two fractions together, we have to have the same denominator, right? So 2a over b needs to have a 2a in the denominator, and b over 2a has to have a b in the denominator. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 2a over b by 2a over 2a. And that's going to give us 4a squared over 2ab. Now, the other fraction, b over 2a, we're going to multiply it by b over b, and that's going to give us b squared times 2ab. Okay, now notice our denominator is the same, so we can rewrite this in a simpler form and say 4a squared plus b squared over 2ab. Now, which one of the answer choices fit this? And it should be answer choice J, 4a squared plus b squared over 2ab. That gives us answer choice J. The key here is to make sure you have the same common denominator, right? And remember, we multiplied b over 2a by b over b, right? And we multiplied 2a over b by 2a over 2a. Okay. With that being said, let's move on. Okay. So here's our next one. A lot of people seem to struggle with these functions for some reason. And sometimes I think it's just because of the notation gets so many people confused. So what we have here is we have f composed of g of x is equal to, so f composed of g of x is equal to x plus 1, the cube root of x plus 1 minus 2. So there are two functions put together. There are two functions put together. We want to deconstruct those functions so we'll know what f of x and g of x actually is. Now, f is composed of g, so g was put into f. So let's figure out what f is. So f of x is actually the cube root of x minus 2. G of x is actually x plus 1, because the x plus 1 has been substituted into x with the cube root. Now, what we want to make is g composed of f. So we know g of x is x plus 1. So we want to take f of x and substitute it into the x for g of x. And so we're going to have the cube root of x minus 2. So that's all been put into the x of g of x plus 1. Now here's our plus 1 from g of x over here. All right, now let's just get rid of the parentheses. So you're going to have the cube root of x minus 2 plus 1. Well, negative 2 plus 1 is going to be a negative 1. And that leaves us the cube root of x. So g composed of f of x is the cube root of x minus 1. And that's answer choice G. All righty, moving right along. radicals. You got to love them. You just got to love them. For all positive values of x, which of the following expressions is equivalent to these two radicals multiplied together? So the first thing you can do, I like to rewrite them when I talk about them. We want the sixth root of x to the fourth times the third root of x to the fourth. So we're multiplying these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite both of these as exponentials. So this becomes x to the 4/6 power times x to the 4/3 power. Okay, now, when you're multiplying two exponentials together, you have to add the exponents. So we need to get common bases, or common denominators, sorry. So we're going to leave this as 4/6, and we're going to change 4/3. We want to make the denominator a 6. So we're going to have to multiply 4/3 by 2/2 and change this to 8/6. So I'll put it up here. We're going to multiply by 2/2. And that's how we got 8/6. Now I have common denominators. And now I can add those together. So that's going to give me x. So 8 and 4 is 12. 12/6. Now, 12/6 is improper. So we can, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we have x squared. So when you multiply these two radicals together, you get x squared, which is answer choice J. All right, got a couple more. So this is an abstract type of problem. You just have to be careful with your logic. So here we go. 4 golfers will be randomly split into 2 groups. They're going to be split into 2 groups of 2 for a tournament. If Jill and Ramona are among the 4, what is the probability that they will be paired together? All right, so let's make our groups. So we can have Jill and Ramona paired together. Or we can have Jill and player B. Or we can have Jill and player A. We can also have Ramona and Jill. And then we can have Ramona and player B or Ramona and player A paired together. Now, what is the probability that they will be paired together? So Jill and Ramona is what we're looking for. And or you could say Ramona and Jill. So there are 2 chances right there, here and here, that fit them. Now, that's out of how many total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2 out of 6. Or you can reduce that to give us 1/3. So there's a 1/3 chance that Jill and Ramona will be paired together. And that's just about thinking about this logically. Okay, so with that being said, that's answer choice K. All right, we got, I think, 2 more. Oh yeah. So I'm going to change my pen color right quick. I'm going to make it red because I'm going to write on the figure. So this is a triangle, and notice in the note, they give you the law of cosines. So they're going to want you to use the law of cosines to fill in your answer. Now, the angle is 34 degrees. And so if you try to eliminate based on 34 degrees, they've cut you off here because they put the cosine of 34 degrees in each answer choice. But sometimes it's possible to do that. So let's take and figure out what the question's asking, and then let's move forward. So Jed is standing 10 meters away from the maple tree. That is 14 meters from the willow tree. All right, so the side between maple tree and Jed is 10, and willow tree and maple tree is 14. Now, in which the measure of the angle is given. Okay, so which of the following questions, when solved for x, so we're trying to solve for the x, willow tree to Jed. So which of the following equations, when solved for x, gives the distance between Jed and the willow tree? Okay, so let's take our equation, and I'm going to rewrite it here. Well, before I do, I want to do something. I want to label the angle as C, because they've got the angle listed as 34 degrees in all our answer choices. So I'm going to label it 34 degrees. And I'm going to label it C. Now, I'm going to label maple tree A, and I'm going to label Jed B. So the angle away from the maple tree would be little a, and the side away from the angle of Jed would be little b. So the side away from the maple tree is lowercase a. The side away from the angle of Jed is lowercase b. And then the side away from the 34 degrees is lowercase c. So what I'm going to do, notice our equation. Let me do this. Let me do this first. Erase that. So here's the equation. C squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of angle C. Now notice A, I have associated with X. So everywhere I have an A in my equation, I'm going to change it to X. Now this is going to be x squared plus b squared minus 2. Now there's an A there. I'm going to put an X, B, cosine, angle, and I'm going to put in there 34 degrees because we know what that is now. 34 degrees. Okay. Now let's fill in what else we know. We know side C is 10. So C is 10 squared. We're looking for X, right? We don't know what that will be, but we know that B is 14. So we're going to substitute 14 in there. And that's 14 squared. Now B again is 14. This is going to be the cosine of angle 34 degrees. Okay, now look at your answer choices. Which one of your answer choices has what we have written? A 10 squared, an x squared, a 14 squared minus 2x times 14 times the cosine of 34 degrees. The only one that matches is answer choice A. So what I would do if I were you guys, when you come across the law of cosines, is always call the angle that's given C, and then define the triangle how you want, and then match it up, just like we did. All right. Last question. So suppose the equations x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 4. Okay, that's the standard form of equation of the circle. I want you to make sure you notice that. And x minus 4 squared divided by 4 plus y minus 10 squared over 16 is equal to 1. So that is an ellipse equation. So we have two equations. We have the standard form of the circle, and we have an ellipse equation in the same question. So suppose both of the equations are graphed in the same coordinate plane. How many points of intersection do these graphs share? Well, if you have your calculator, I would put both of them into my calculator and I would graph them together to see what points they share. That's the fastest way to do it. You can do this long-handed by sketching a graph. Let me sketch one out. So here's our X, and here's our Y. Now I'm going to put some tick marks on my Y-axis and X-axis, make it a number line. And I think I want to go 14 or 15 of these. 1, 2, 3. Try to keep them as equal spaced as possible. 4, 5, but you don't have to be a perfectionist. All right. There's 15. Now I'll need to make some over here. Put 11 of them there. Okay, so we're going to take the first equation, x minus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 4. Now, if you know this equation, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So 4 is the radius squared. So therefore, my radius is a 2. The center of the circle is 4, 3. Now we can graph our circle. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up 3. It'll be like right here. There's the center of the circle. You know the radius is 2. So we're over at 4, go away, 4 minus 2 is 2. So we would have part of the circle there. We know the radius is 2, so 4 plus 2 gives us over here to 6. So that's a 6, and that's a 2. So if we're at 3, we subtract 2, we come down to 1. And if we're at a 3 and we add 2, we come up to 5. So there is going to be some points I can aim to draw my circle. Okay. So this is 4, 3 in the center. And this point up here is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay, now let's take our ellipse equation, x minus 4 squared over 4 plus y minus 10 squared over 16 is equal to 1. Now it's important to note that the number 16 is associated with your y and 4 is associated with your x. So 4 is going to be your b value, and that's associated with the width of the ellipse. 16 is associated with our y, and that means the ellipse is going to be elongated around the y-axis because that's a larger number here. So that's your a value, and that's going to be associated with your length or your stretch of the ellipse. So we're going to use the square root of 16 in just a second. Now, the center of this ellipse is occurring at 410. So we're coming over here to 4, and we're going to go up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come over and then right about there. So 4, 10, there's our 10, and then here's our 4. So 410 is going to be the center of the ellipse. Let me just write that out over here, 410. Okay, now the width of the ellipse, take the square root of 4, and you get 2. So we're at 410, so 4 minus 2 is 2, so right about there. And then 4 plus 2 is 6, right about there. All right, now take the square root of 16 and you get plus or minus 4. All right, and so what we want to do is go from 10, add 4 to 10, and we go up to 14. So 11, 12, 13, 14. So right there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So this is going to be 4, comma 14. Now we're going to go back to the center and go down 4. So we're at 10, go down 4. We're going to end up at 6. We know that's 5, so 1 up is 6 right there. Okay, so now I got some points where I can make a rough sketch of my ellipse. Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. Okay, now, do either of my graphs cross? Do they intersect? No, they do not intersect. So therefore, the answer is going to be F. 0 points of intersection. Okay. With that being said, guys, I hope this helps. That's our last question. And remember this, the last 30 questions on the ACT math exam are usually more conceptual. They're more logic-based, and so they require you having more logical understanding of mathematics, whereas the first 30 questions are mechanically based, which is just simple algebra techniques for the most part. With that in mind, if you're preparing for the ACT currently, I wish you all the best, and I hope that you get the score that you're looking for, and for whatever university that you're planning to attend or sending an application to, I hope that you match up with that university well so that you will be successful there. With that being said, thanks for listening, and I wish you guys all the best. Have a great day.